what's up? It's Josh from the Dialed In Hunter. I wanted to give you all a quick in the field overview of the new First Lite Nemo Recurve 2-person shelter. So this is it. Comes in just a shade under 2 pounds. Perfect for early to mid-season hunting. Fits great in the backpack. I ran this particular shelter all through high country mule deer season. It worked out great for me. I actually ran it as a solo shelter. You can do that. You can run 2 people in it. You'll be I mean, it'll be a little tight, but you can definitely do it. So let's look at some stuff that I like about the shelter. So the first thing that I thought was pretty cool about this shelter, and I think unique to it itself, is this stake system here. If you notice, these are like, they got these rods coming up, and at first I was like, that's kind of weird, you know what I mean? Like, because most shelters, when it comes down to the stake, like if this is the floor of the tent, most shelters come like this, right? And the stake is right here, which doesn't give as much room on the inside of the shelter, which is exactly why they did this. So when I'm in here sleeping, the shelter's not leaning on my head at all. Okay, there's plenty of room for my feet down by my feet, which comes in handy if there is any type of condensation going on, because the shelter's not leaning on me at all. So all in all, it just gives a little bit more room on the inside of the tent. The downside of it, if you want to look at it like that, is it does take a little bit to get it set up. There is like a trick to it, and you need to make sure that all of these corners are tight. Okay, so this is the inside of the shelter. There's plenty of room in here. At first I thought the pole was going to be in the way. I never slept with a shelter with a pole in the center, but there's enough room for a sleeping pad on each side of this thing. Okay, so, and not once, like I spent quite a bit of time in it in August and September and stuff, and I never felt like this was in my way at all. I actually was able to put my backpack in here too, so I put my backpack on this side and I slept on this side. How the inside of this is set up is the pole actually goes down through the center of the tent. There's a little drawstring right here, and you just put the pole down through this hole and then cinch this up. And then on the top, it's like a T-bar system. So there's a pole that runs this way along the ridge with a little clip up here that this pole attaches into, and that's your pole system. And there's clips on either side of this ridge that the top pole connects into. So pretty slick system. So here's the inside with those rods in the corners. So all of this right here, this is all straight up. There's no like part here where the tent like comes down like this and is resting on your head or anything like that. This is all like open space right here. And it's the same on the other side of the tent as well. So something that you want to keep in mind with the Recurve, it's a killer shelter, but it does take up quite a bit of real estate. So it wouldn't be something that you'd necessarily want to like, you'd be able to like put in a deer bed or something like that, like a little baby spot. These cords come out quite a bit on each corner, and then plus the vestibule comes out pretty far. So definitely want to keep that in mind when you're scouting out. Like if you're scouting on a map or something like that, make sure you try to find like a pretty flat spot, open flat spot, so you can fit this shelter. So here's the inside of the vestibule. There's adequate room in here, but there's not a ton of room in here. So I think you'd be fine like putting your backpack right here. But as far as, you know, stuff overflowing this way, I mean, I'll zip it up for you right now so you can see. Like, this doesn't come super far out from the inside of the shelter. So if stuff was coming out like right here, it might get wet if it was raining. I can't tell you for sure or not. Personally, I would just try to keep all my stuff like in the center, like in this widest part of, or deepest part of the vestibule. But I mean, it's definitely adequate. It would be kind of cool though if this came out a little bit farther, and maybe down further, but yeah, that's the vestibule for the Recurve. So there you have it. That's the First Lite Nemo Recurve 2-person shelter. All in all, I'm pretty stoked on it. It's just a shade under 2 pounds, fits great in the backpack, doesn't take up a ton of room. I spent quite a bit of time in it hunting high country mule deer this past season, and I was very pleased with it. You can't complain about the weight on backpack hunts like that. I would take this well into January down here in Arizona. Other places you might not want to take it past October, November, depending on weather and stuff like that. But other than that, single wall design, super light, lots of room, a great backcountry option for hunting. So if you have any questions, drop them down below. And if you dig the channel, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.